Have you ever wondered why, no matter how many books you read or how many positive affirmations you repeat, the love you desire always seems to slip away? The truth is, there's a missing piece in that equation, something Carl Jung discovered, and few dare to face. It's not about worthiness, luck, or even finding the right person. What blocks true love runs deeper. You can only receive the love you are willing to recognize within yourself. Think about the last time you felt rejected or incomplete. What if that pain wasn't about the other person, but a sign that a part of you is crying out for acceptance? Here's the key. External love is a mirror of internal love. Until you understand this, you'll keep searching in others for what can only be found in your own heart. This isn't just another speech filled with empty self-help cliches. It's a call to awaken. Are you ready to look in the mirror and discover what's truly keeping you from being loved and, more importantly, from loving yourself? The journey begins here. The hidden power of your relationships. Have you ever found yourself irritated by someone for no apparent reason, or drawn to certain people even knowing they're not good for you? These reactions are not accidents. They reveal one of the greatest mysteries of the human soul. Every relationship is a mirror reflecting parts of yourself you haven't yet understood. When someone triggers anger, admiration, or even obsession in you, they're showing you aspects of yourself you don't recognize or haven't yet accepted. The person who makes you feel insecure, for example, isn't there by chance. They are highlighting an inner wound that longs to be healed. Likewise, that trait you criticize in others is often a part of yourself you've rejected. What you perceive in the outer world is an invitation to explore your inner world. The more we resist this truth, the more life presents us with the same challenges, just with different faces. This is the principle of the relational mirror. Every connection is an opportunity for self-discovery. Instead of blaming others or running from discomfort, ask yourself, what is this situation teaching me about myself? When you face this question with courage, relationships stop being sources of pain and become paths to liberation. The soul's game of mirrors. What you most hate in others holds a secret about yourself. This is the law of projection. We unconsciously assign to others qualities we refuse to see in ourselves. The arrogance you despise, the vulnerability you disdain, or the ambition you criticize are fragments of your own personal story still waiting to be acknowledged. Every intense emotional reaction is like a psychic alarm, signaling aspects of yourself that have been banished into the shadows. The person who deeply irritates you isn't the problem, but the messenger, bringing to light parts of you that cry out for integration. Even the qualities you admire in others represent your own potential, waiting to be expressed. This process of recognition is the alchemy of personal growth. When you stop projecting and begin to embrace these rejected parts, something magical happens. External conflicts lose their grip, and you discover an inner peace that no circumstance can shake. The shadow, when illuminated, transforms from enemy to ally, revealing that what you feared most in yourself was precisely what was missing for your wholeness. The revolution of self-encounter. Every wound you avoid looking at takes deeper root in your soul. But what if every pain held a gift? Healing begins when you stop running from the dark corners of your being, and with courage, turn on the light of awareness. This isn't a process of fixing what's broken, but of embracing what has always been there, waiting to be acknowledged. When you find compassion for the parts of yourself you once deemed unworthy, something extraordinary happens. That fear of not being enough, the suppressed anger, the disguised vulnerability, all these fragments begin to integrate, not as enemies, but as allies on your path. Try writing to those rejected parts, not with judgment, but with the curiosity of someone discovering a lost treasure. This is true inner alchemy, transforming rejection into acceptance, pain into wisdom. As you practice this inner dialogue, you realize that healing was never something to be found elsewhere. You just needed to stop resisting the love that already existed within you. Relationships stop being emotional crutches and become clear mirrors, reflecting the wholeness you finally dare to be. The heart's vicious cycle. Why do we keep repeating the same romantic mistakes, even after promising to change? These patterns are not mere coincidences, but echoes of old wounds still crying out for attention. When you find yourself drawn to the same type of person who always brings you pain, it's a clear sign. Your unconscious is trying to resolve something you have yet to face consciously. Toxic relationships function like a familiar dance. Even if painful, they are known, and our brain confuses familiarity with safety. You might swear this time will be different, but until you heal the root of that attraction to what harms you, the cycle repeats. The controlling partner, the emotionally unavailable lover, the love that needs to be earned, all are distorted, mirrors of deep beliefs about your own worth. The way out of this emotional labyrinth begins with a disturbing question. What do I gain by staying in this pattern? It could be the illusion of control, the fear of loneliness, or even the belief that you deserve to suffer. When you face this truth with courage, the same relationships that once seemed inevitable begin to lose their power over you. Healing doesn't come from finding someone different, but from becoming someone different. The art of emotional reinvention. Breaking patterns isn't just about willpower. It's about rewriting the story your heart keeps repeating. Every time you feel that familiar pull toward situations you know will hurt, you're faced with a sacred choice. Follow the automatic path or create a new neural pathway. The discomfort that arises when you resist the old pattern isn't a sign of failure, but of evolution. Your emotional system learning a new language of love. Start by observing the micro moments when the pattern tries to assert itself. That urge to message someone who doesn't value you, the tendency to ignore red flags in the name of passion, or the need to prove your worth. These are the breaking points where you can exercise your power to change. Replace the automatic reaction with a conscious pause. In that space between stimulus and response lies your freedom. True transformation happens when you stop asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this situation teaching me about how I relate to myself?" Patterns don't break through repression, but through deep understanding. When you change your inner dialogue, the outer world has no choice but to reflect this new version of yourself. The revolution of inner love. The love you seek in others can only be found in one place, within yourself. This isn't a pretty metaphor, but the fundamental law of relationships. When you approach others from a place of lack, you attract mirrors of that same emptiness. But when you come from a place of wholeness, every encounter becomes a conscious choice, not a desperate need. Self-love isn't about selfishness or vanity. It's about recognizing your unconditional worth. It's the ability to say no when something doesn't serve your soul, but also to say yes to your deepest desires without guilt. Try treating yourself with the same tenderness you offer those you love. Praise your achievements. Forgive your missteps. Honor your boundaries. These small acts are seeds of an intimate revolution. When you become your own source of affection and validation, something magical happens. You stop accepting emotional crumbs and begin to attract connections that reflect your completeness. Love is no longer something you have to beg for. It becomes a gift you freely share. This is the difference between living by external codes and flowing from your inner truth, the only true foundation for genuinely healthy relationships. The alchemy of authentic love. The greatest paradox of love is that the less you need it, the more it reveals itself in your life. This apparent contradiction holds ancient wisdom. True love doesn't arise from lack, but from emotional sovereignty. When you stop seeking in others what can only be found within, you create space for connections that nourish instead of drain, that liberate instead of imprison. Maturing in love means trading romantic fantasy for a deeper truth, that relationships don't exist to complete you, but to expand your experience of life. The best encounters happen when two whole people choose each other, not out of fear of loneliness, but from the genuine pleasure of sharing their journeys. The love that once seemed like an ocean to be conquered is then revealed as the very water you've always been swimming in. This is the secret the wise have always known. Love is not something you attain, but something you become. When you stop, desperately looking for it out there, you discover it has always been present in how you treat yourself, in the choices you make, in the way you see the world. True love isn't a destination, but a starting point. The journey that begins now. Everything you've discovered up to this point is not just knowledge. It's an invitation to transformation. These words only come to life when you choose to. Apply them when you decide to step off the sidelines and onto the stage of your own evolution. Self-knowledge that doesn't turn into action is like a map kept in a drawer. It leads nowhere. This is the moment to take the next step. Choose one single insight that resonated most deeply with you today and commit to one small, concrete change. It could be writing a letter to your shadow, setting a new boundary in a relationship, or simply practicing 1 minute of self-compassion each day. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Magic happens when you start with what you have, where you are. You already have everything you need to rewrite your love story. The question is, will you let these ideas remain as fleeting inspiration, or will you allow them to transform the way you relate, first to yourself, then to the world? The revolution of authentic love begins with a single act of courage. Your time is now.